Welcome to the Butterfly Effect. I'm Chris Horner. This is stage 7 of the Tour of Spain 2025. Okay, today's stage. When it's all said and done, I want to put it out here even before the stage begins. Maybe you should unsubscribe because maybe I'm a knucklehead. Either I'm a knucklehead or there are a ton of knuckleheads out in the professional Peloton during this stage 7 of the Vuelta a España. None of them called Viz Melissa bike. Okay, some guys rag on me in the comments about always dissing Viz Melissa bike. Certainly through the 25 Tour de France, I did daily. But they have been spectacular, and today, Viz Melissa bike will be spectacular again. But the rest of the guys, if you think this outcome on this stage is something to be cherishing and be celebrating, then I'm a big-time knucklehead. All you guys should unsubscribe. All 100,000 subscribers should unsubscribe because this is a ridiculous stage when it's all said and done. I wanted to point out the profile here of the stage first before we get started. We look at it at 188 kilometers. I'll call it about 115 miles in length. They had a huge neutral section. You could call it 120 if you wanted to. But 4 category climbs. The first 2 are long climbs. We're talking about category 1, category 2, category 1 at the finish of today's stage. But the first 2 are about 22, 25 kilometers long, first and second category climbs on today's race. When the racing starts, they hit kilometer 0. Everybody's a little bit hesitant. There's no attacking going right away. And then we see Lotto Destiny throwing the first attack. After that, we see Albacete de Koenig throwing an attack with Ed Plankert. Now, am I a knucklehead? Or is tomorrow a sprint stage? Because if tomorrow's a sprint stage and Edward Plankert's going up the road right now, either I'm a knucklehead or he's a knucklehead. So you guys got to decide. I think it's Edward Plankert because there's a sprint stage tomorrow and they have Jasper Philipsen on the team. The world's #1 ranked sprinter in my book up here, him and Tim Malaire. You can flip them either way you want, but I'll take Jasper Philipsen myself. And it's a sprint stage tomorrow. We say Edward Plankert gets some company from another Albacete de Koenig rider. We call that rider right there Glivar. As Glivar's going up the road, Edward Plankert's going to sit up and go back. We got 3 riders going up the road. We haven't hit the first KOM climb yet to start. We're going to 175 kilometers to go. 3 riders up the front. Peloton starts going. 8 back there's attacking left, right, and center. As we start seeing the 3 riders, they got brought back already. Then big time attacks, and Jay Vine is always involved in them, and so is Ayuso, his teammate. Now, Jay Vine and Ayuso are always involved in them. Yesterday was stage 6. It was the first real summit finish, and Ayuso dropped off on the first summit stage. Now, Almeida's trying to win the general classification here, and we all thought Ayuso was too. But after the stage where Ayuso lost 12 minutes on the stage and sat up, he came in and gave an interview. Wasn't upset at all, gave an interview and just said, hey, I wasn't supposed to be racing for GC. They added me to the Vuelta here late. That was because Tadej Pogacar took his name off the list. So now we fast forward into stage 7 here. We're going up the climb. And we're early in the climb, 20 kilometers to go in this climb, and Ayuso's going solo. So yesterday when we saw Almeida chasing the attack of Ciccone with Jonas Vingegaard on his wheel and Egan Bernal up there, and Almeida's closing the gap back there, are we thinking right now that Ayuso still had some form yesterday to be able to ride on stage 6 for Almeida, but not that good of form, but needed to drop off early on the climb? And then Jay Vine's been dropping off from stage 1. Okay, in my book, if you're coming in with a hot-handed favorite like Almeida to try to win the general classification, you need to put pressure on Viz Melissa bike. Different ways to put pressure on Viz Melissa bike, but certainly you want some guys on the general classification so they can attack to go up the road. But right now, with Ayuso going up the road, guys, he's 10 minutes down on the general classification and about 740 back on 5th place when we're talking about Jonas Vingegaard. So as he's going up the road, Viz Melissa bike don't seem to be that worried about him, and nor should they be. That's why we start seeing Viz Melissa bike controlling the peloton a little bit. Some help with Byron Victorious at the front, the race leader's red jersey, Torsten Treyens up there. But then we start seeing some attacks by Jay Vine in the KOM jersey. Now this is a good plan if you want to get up there, but a better plan would have been high on the general classification and help your team out yesterday and then put pressure on Viz Melissa bike today. But instead, he's down on the general classification too, so he's trying to get up there because he's wearing the KOM jersey. Now, as he's attacking multiple times, 3, 4, 5 times, whatever it was a ton of times, we get about halfway up the climb, we see Mads Pedersen's getting dropped. He's in a group of about 30, 40 riders. He's getting dropped back there, but the peloton's going to slow up a little bit because there's just Juan Ayuso up the front there. He's not a threat on the general classification, so they're slowing up, and we see Mads Pedersen get on the back of the group. we start going up close to the finish of this first category climb here on stage 7, and Ayuso still solo. He's holding about 16-second gap, and Mads Pedersen's throwing an attack. The green jersey, the sprinter from Mads Pedersen, the classic specialist, is throwing in attacks on the Peloton. We go up to the top of the KOM, we see that Ayuso's going over solo. He's got about 10, 15-second gap. Mads Pedersen's coming across second, hot on his wheels, about 10 riders. Then 10 seconds behind them is the Peloton with Bahrain Victorious Viz Melissa bike all over the front of the Peloton. They drop down the descent. You see Mads Pedersen. It's 11 guys now. They came together. That 10 plus Mads Pedersen made 11. Mads Pedersen's drilling it on the front. It's going to take them about 10 kilometers coming down the descent with about 140 kilometers to go. They've caught Ayuso. Now we got 2 riders from UAE Team Emirates in this front group. KOM jersey, Jay Vine, and Ayuso, like I mentioned. We go back and look at the Peloton. They're driving down. They're going to catch it and round up about 9 riders that were stuck in between, so the Peloton's all together. They hit the flat section there. We see George Bennett at the back, Med's car. He's got a little problem with his left knee there. He's getting sprayed on it. And then in front of him, we see the seat post from Caja Royale sitting in the middle of the street. And the Caja Royale rider there, he's got to pull over to the right side as George Bennett's got to move to the left. It's not safe around George Bennett at the 25 Vuelta a España. Okay, everyone's going to be okay. We see the Peloton slow down. It all comes back together. Bahrain Victorious is eventually going to have all 8 of their riders ride in the front of the Peloton. All 8 of their riders ride in the front of the Peloton. Yes, I repeated myself. Because Bahrain Victorious is riding in the front of the Peloton, I'm asking myself, why are you guys riding in the front of the Peloton? The highest on the general classification up there is Raul Garcia from Arkea Samsic. Noah Samsic, excuse me, from Arkea. I'll get that fixed one of these days. And he's about 5 minutes down on the general classification, but Ayuso is up in this front group, which means what? Viz Melissa bike most likely would not want to let Ayuso get high on the general classification, and someone from the team even told Ayuso they wouldn't let him in the break in today's stage, but he's up there anyways, which means Viz Melissa bike should be riding the front. If you're Bahrain Victorious, you can go, hey man, Ayuso's up there. He's actually about 7 minutes and 40 seconds behind the race leader there of Jonas Vingegaard for Viz Melissa bike, but he's in 5th place. But we're talking about 7.5 minutes. Do you really want to give Ayuso time to come back good again on the general classification? At least put some guys on the front to ride with us. I can understand Bahrain Victorious doing maybe 1 or 2 riders up there, but riding the whole time yourself? Okay, they're going to hold the gap at about 4 minutes. It's going to go up to 3.5, 4 minutes at the top of today's stage. But when we get into the second climb, this climb's normally about 20 plus kilometers long, but they're ranking it now at about 5 on the TV screen there. So we're coming into about 85 kilometers to go. Once we start going up this climb, we see Jay Vine grab maximum points in the KOM jersey at the top. Okay, they go over the top, they drop down the descent. Now, at some point in time, if you're a 12-rider group, you got a 4-minute gap on the Peloton behind you, you need to start attacking. And why do you need to start attacking? Well, you know, call me a knucklehead, but I don't think you want to come into the final summit climb with 12 kilometers to go on today's stage and come in with Jay Vine that just got done winning yesterday's stage 6 solo and UAE Team Emirates Ayuso in this front group. Guys, they just won the team time trial the day before stage 6, which means it was 5. So they got 2 consecutive back-to-back stage wins right now. So when you're going over the second category climb and it's 80 kilometers to go, you gotta start attacking. Now the problem is when you look at this group of 12 is, of course, you have Mads Pedersen in here. Mads Pedersen at 14 kilometers to go, he's got a sprint, intermediate sprint competition coming up, so he wants to grab that maximum 20 points. So if we back the film up just a hair to the start of that 85 kilometers, Mads Pedersen and Jay Vine are doing a little conversation to each other. Now, I don't know what exactly they're talking about. I'm only going to guess here, but if I was Mads Pedersen, I'd be saying with 3 climbs to go, and I only need to get over 2, I'd be talking to the 2 best climbers in this group of 12, and one of them's called Jay Vine, and I'd say, hey, how about you guys keep it smooth up this second category climb right here, smooth for me so I don't get dropped, and I'll help you guys out throughout the descents and the valleys, and I'll keep it all together so you can come in to the last climb and have a shot at you or Ayuso winning the stage. Just me, I'm guessing here. Maybe I'm a knucklehead. Maybe you have to unlike and subscribe. I don't know. So they go down the descent, Mads Pedersen, everybody's gelling well together. I mean, they're working beautifully together. Behind Bahrain Victoria, same thing, 8 guys driving the front. We're kind of coming into the third climb, just over 50 kilometers to go. They start this climb, 12 guys, nobody's attacking. We get near the top. Jay Vine lights everyone up, grabs some more KOM points. Sean Quinn's in the picture. And we look at Frigo, Premier Tech. He's in the picture too. They go over the top of the third category climb together. And we look at Sean Quinn. He wants to start drilling it right now. This is a good tactic. You could get rid of Ayuso. You could bring it down to 3 guys. Maybe you can play some tactical games later with Jay Vine. That chances that you're going to get rid of both is slim, but at least you get rid of a ton of riders and you get Jay Vine possibly working more than you are. But Jay Vine's sitting on the back. So he's sitting on the back right now because why? Maybe he wants Ayuso to try to win today's stage. Maybe he made a deal with Mads Pedersen. I don't know. Maybe a combination of both is what I'd guess. But we start seeing some radio chatter from EF Education. He's sitting there telling his director sportif, saying that this not working well together. We're going to have to hold up here. So the group comes back together. We drop down the descent, and the first guy I see pulling in this group of 12 at the front is Sean Quinn. Sean Quinn, if you don't want this group to work well together, you want the break to go up the road, stop pulling on the front being a knucklehead. Call me a knucklehead or call him a knucklehead. Somebody's got to be a knucklehead, but if you want this group to split up, you got to start attacking. And now you're coming down the descent, and Mads Pedersen knows when he gets to the bottom with 14 kilometers to go, it's a sprint line points competition, so he's going to pull the whole time. If you stop pulling, you can sit on the back, or you can start having some attacks. Now, there's going to be a bunch of other knuckleheads. Don't feel bad for Sean Quinn, because when we look further back, we got Kevin Vermark. He's pulling on the front, so he's got to be one. Joel Nicolai there from Caja Royale, he's pulling on the front, so he's certainly got to be one. We look at Raul Garcia, he's pulling on the front. Raul Garcia, I called him kind of a knucklehead on yesterday's penultimate climb for attacking for no reason. Now he's in the front group. If he wants to ride the front and he's a climber, go ahead and do it. Maybe you got better legs than Jay Vine and Ayuso, but I doubt it. But I won't call you a knucklehead. We look further down the descent, though, when we start seeing Edward Sepulveda pulling on the front. Well, he's got to be a knucklehead because he's keeping it all together with multiple climbers, and he's not a climber himself. If I back up the film a hair, we see Mads Pedersen was pulling on the front 4 kilometers up there. As he was pulling in, he extended the gap that got down to about 3 minutes and 50 out to about 4 minutes and 15. But now we're coming into about 22 kilometers ago, and Bahrain Victorious is full gas at the front of the peloton. It's going single file right now. They're trying to get the time back as much as they can into the final climb for their non-climbers so that they can drop off, and the race leaders, red jersey, Torsten Treyen, will have a shot at keeping it at the end of today's stage 7. Again, where's Visma Bike? They're not on the front. They're racing spectacularly. They're saving energy left, right, and center. We got 2 riders from UAE team members in the front group of 12 working all day, not putting any threat on Visma Bike because they got a free ride. And Almeida, who's sitting second on the general classification, is down 2 riders for the final climb, and nobody's putting pressure on Visma Bike. Doesn't look like a good plan to me. Well, we come into 14 kilometers ago, and what does Mads Pedersen do? He kills everyone, just rolls off the front. They give it to him, actually. Grabs 20 points to that green jersey that he's wearing on his shoulders. Come into the last and final climb, 12 kilometers to go. What happens? Mads Pedersen drops off the back. There's no doubt about that. We all saw that coming and expected it. But the next rider to drop off the back is going to be Joel there from Caja Royale. He drops off the back, and why is that? Well, up front, guess what's happening? Jay Vine is throwing down on the pedals. He's throwing down massively. Now, I don't even like this tactic from Jay Vine because Ayuso was solo for 30 kilometers to begin with when we went up the first climb and 10 kilometers down the descent. I don't know if I trust Ayuso being solo for 30 kilometers when I just saw Jay Vine win yesterday, stage 6, solo. But now Jay Vine's throwing everything into it. Now, remember, I'm not the director of sportifs. Maybe they had a conversation. Jay Vine said, hey, my legs are bad. But Jay Vine had a chance to go up the road with 2 riders, Sean Quinn and Frigo, Marco Frigo back there from Premier Tech, and he chose not to do it. Now he's riding the front, so I don't know. Call me a knucklehead. Jay Vine's on the front. He's drilling it. He'll drill it for about 1 kilometer to go. And then guess what happens? Ayuso throws an attack. As Ayuso's throwing an attack, Frigo's there. Sean Quinn's in the picture. Frigo's trying to bridge across. They give us the replay of the attack. Once we see the replay, we see on the front, Jay Vine was on the front. He looks left over his shoulder. His teammate's attacking on the right side. He looks right, and he knows his job's done. So as Ayuso's throwing an attack, he's getting a gap of about 10 seconds, maybe 8 seconds, and Frigo's closing up to him. Frigo catches up to him because why? Well, Ayuso must not be spectacular because normally Ayuso would drop Marco Frigo no problem, but yet Ayuso did ride 30 kilometers on his own. So he is looking kind of spectacular if you tally up the whole stage. Okay, these 2 riders end up working together with Frigo on the front. Call me a knucklehead, but I don't know if I want to pull Ayuso around going up the final climb. This guy's a top quality rider. He's paid a lot more than Marco Frigo, but Marco Frigo doesn't care. He's pulling on the front. Now go ahead and do about another kilometer, but before we get to that, let's back up and look at the guys chasing, because Sean Quinn's on the front. He's in a group of 5, and Raul Garcia is sitting on the wheel. Then Raul Garcia is going to start lighting them up. But first, we got to go up front, because we're going to see if, of course, Ayuso is going to throw an attack on Frigo and drop him and now start going solo. Behind, of course, as I was hinting to, Raul Garcia drops everyone. He's going solo, and he's bridging up there to Marco Frigo. Now we go back down and look at the Peloton. As we look at the Peloton coming hot into this climb, it's my man Victor Campenaerts on the front. Viz Melissa Bike have come to the front now. This is fantastic tactic. They got the best climber in the world, and maybe one or two others. So as my man Victor Campenaerts drilling on the front, you know the Peloton's going full gas back there, and they started the climb at about 3.5 minutes behind the lead group of 12. Now up front, we see Garcia and we see Raul Garcia, and we see Marco Frigo there have joined together. These two guys are kind of working somewhat together, and we go up to Ayuso, who looks like he's suffering a ton. He's not looking fantastic, and he attacked 1 kilometer in this 12-kilometer climb and then attacked again. Now he's solo, and he's kind of arguing a little bit with the camera, saying, I need some time. This is what kind of filling this in. But it looks like I need some time. He drops down the little descent. We see him start back up, and now we're going to go back and start paying attention to the Peloton, because the gap up there to Ayuso is still holding at 30 and 40 seconds to the 2 chasers behind. So let's take a look at the Peloton, what's happening. Well, my man Victor Campenaerts is still on the front. He's drilling it into about 6.5 kilometers ago when they come down that little descent and then into that left bend. Once they start the left bend and the climb really starts taking its toll on the riders, my man Victor Campenaerts is going to pull off. It's time for Wilco Kelderman to go to work. Wilco Kelderman does not stay at the front very long. I'll give him a few hundred meters. As he pulls off, Wilco Kelderman's at the back of the Peloton. Up front, it's time for Ben Toulet to start going to work. It's Ben Toulet. Of course, Jonas Vini goes there. The race leader's red jersey is in the group, and the Peloton's down to under 30 riders right now. So Ben Toulet's done a fine job, because my man Victor Campenaerts is a force to be reckoned with back there. With Ben Toulet on the front, he's not going to stay there for too long, because it's time for Soler to go to work. Okay, the Solerism. As the Peloton was going up the climb, they got Jay Vine, who went out the back, not on the front. It's Soler on the front instead of Jay Vine. And Almeida's going up the road trying to win the stage for UAE team members. So Soler is the only card that Almeida has left. As Soler is drilling it on the front, guys, people are hurting off the back. I pulled the film from the back of the Peloton when Soler was drilling it, and Ben Toulet was up there just before Soler. We see it was Mikel Landa back there getting dropped from Soudal Quickstop, and he had some company back there because Fortunato was with him and Santiago Buitrago, but the group's under 20 riders right now. We go up front. We look at the front of the Peloton. It's Soler up there drilling it. Almeida's there. Jonas Vini goes there. The race leader's red jersey sitting in about 8th position. It's going to be a battle right now for the general classification. Up front, we look there at Ayuso. He's still going solo. He's extended the gap up to about a minute at this point in time on the 2 riders behind, Frigo and Raul Garcia, that are still latched together. We go back and look at the Peloton. Now, things are starting to get interesting right now, because we're getting the numbers down to about 15 riders in this front group. And we look at Egan Bernal's there. Sepp Kuss is there. Trey N is there, the race leader's red jersey. He's there. Tom Pidcock's made the split. Jay Vine's there. Ben O'Connor's there. Riccatello's there, When we look at Felix Gall, he's made it in the front group. Jorgensen's there. Billy LeSurf is at the back of the group, but he's got some company because Pellizzari is back there too. So we go up to the front just a little bit further after this group's down to about 15 riders. Almeida throws in his first attack at 3.7 kilometers to go. As he throws in the attack, Jonas Vini goes locked onto his wheel. We look in the picture, and starting to suffer, and back there's Egan Bernal and Sepp Kuss. But Cicconi's locked on in 3rd position right now, so we got 3 riders as Egan Bernal scratching to get himself up to this group with Sepp Kuss. Cicconi's holding 3rd position. We get to see Jonas Vingegaard in second, and Almeida's drilling it for the second time as he does. Egan Bernal opens up the gap on him and Sepp Kuss. We go back and look at the chasers back there. I'll call it about 10, maybe 11 riders back there. Looks like it's Jai Henry, Felix Gall trying to pull this train of 10 riders back to the front group. We go up into the middle. Sepp Kuss throws in his attack up the right side. As Sepp Kuss throwing in his attack, it's Ciccone that has to cover it. Now you got to cover this move because Sepp Kuss is about 1 minute back on the general classification from Jonas Vingegaard when we're talking about the GC favorites. The red jersey, though, he's about 3.5 minutes back on the red jersey, who's trying to find his way back up to this front group of 5 as Ciccone's closed up the Sepp Kuss. Now, as they let off the gas, we see with about 2.5 kilometers to go, Felix Gall closes the gap. As we look at the back of this group, the red jerseys in this group. So Torsten Treyen from Bahrain Victorious has done a fantastic job. But they have lost to Barry, that was supposed to be their race leader general classification guy for the end of the 3 weeks here at the Vuelta a España, but he's been dropped. But guess what? At the very back, we see Soler's found his way back on. We got about 16 riders in this front group. Now we go up and into about just under 2 kilometers. I'll call it 1.9. We see Raul Garcia's getting attacked from Marco Frigo. Frigo's throwing an attack, but he's 1 minute, 10 seconds down. So when we go into 1 kilometer to go, we know Ayuso's going to win today's stage. He starts to celebrate at about 800 meters to go, 550 I'll call it. He comes around the bend, he sits up and off his saddle, puts both fingers to his ears. I guess he was trying to block out all the negative press from yesterday's stage 6 drop-off on the final climb. But he's going to win today's stage. We look further back. It's Marco Frigo coming across the line there at about 1 minute and 10 seconds. Just behind him is Raul Garcia. And then the rest of the breakaway riders that didn't get caught by the Peloton are rounding out to finish up the classification on today's stage 7. But we still got a GC battle back there. When we go back, it's Jorgensen on the front of the Peloton. He's setting some tempo. Then Soler's going to throw an attack with just under 1 kilometer. I'll call it about 800 meters to go. Soler throws an attack, but Visma Lisa bike stay calm as a bomb because the general classification's under control. So we see Soler come across the line just a few seconds in front of the general classification favorites with about 14, 15 riders in this group to round out the stage. Now, when it's all said and done, Torsten Treyen is still wearing the race leader's red jersey. Visma Lisa bike's Jonas Vingegaard's moved up into second place on the general classification because a lot of the guys from yesterday's stage 6 dropped out of it. So Torsten Treyen's still wearing red. Jonas Vingegaard's moved up, but still 2 minutes and 33 seconds back on the general classification. Almeida's just behind him, and then we look at Ciccone. But when we talk about Almeida and the tactics from UAE Team Emirates, I don't like the win here from Ayuso. Okay, call me crazy, call me a knucklehead. I know it looked impressive, but this looks like 2023 when we saw Remco Evenepoel drop big time and then come back and win multiple stages in the 23 Vuelta a España. When Ayuso's coming up here winning against guys that are not on his pay scale, I can't be as impressed. I just can't. When I think about it, I go back down to the beginning of, or the middle of that climb when it was Soler throwing in attacks. It should have been Soler, Jay Vine, Ayuso back there, and then Almeida throwing in attacks. But instead, they're trying to win stages. They're trying to win the KOM jersey. They're trying to have Almeida win the general classification, but he doesn't have any depth of help on UAE Team Emirates. So call me a knucklehead. I don't like the stage win from Ayuso on today's stage 7 because they're not racing for the general classification the proper way. They're burning all their legs up. They burned it up yesterday with Jay Vine in the break. They burned it up again with 2 riders in the break. They burn it up with no help back there to help Almeida drill it even harder up the climb to see if Jonas really has the legs. Because if anyone's going to be pulling Jonas Vingegaard around, it's UAE Team Emirates that has the right. If you're any other team other than UAE Team Emirates like Ciccone did yesterday, I don't agree with it. But Almeida needs some help. And somehow, throughout the season, Almeida always seems to get left stranded when it comes to UAE Team Emirates help. Because if his name was Tadej Pogacar, you know the whole team would have been back there for Poggi drilling it. But they don't have a ton of faith in Almeida. And so if you don't have faith in Almeida, then I guess you better win the stage with Ayuso. But I have faith in Almeida to put on a show, and I would at least wait until the second half of the Vuelta a España before I gave the green light to Jay Vine to drop out and lose time and go for stages, and the green light for Ayuso, who I pay a ton of money for if you're UAE Team Emirates, to drop out and win stages. I want to win general classifications, not stages. Like and subscribe. I'll see you guys on the next edition real soon.